Agile, Scrum, and sprints. Wow. You know, it's this kind of the vogue thing these days, that and Kanban, different names for different things. A lot of it's been out there a while, but some of these are very useful. This is very useful. People use it for Agile methodology for everything. It's kind of the vogue term. Linda Schwartz who was one of the first PhDs in engineering from MIT, had people come to her for quality improvement programs, and she would show them things from the 1890 British survey of American manufacturing, but not tell them what it was. And they went, oh wow, this is really Agile's, the techniques, quality products, listen to the customer, the Agile Manifesto 2001. Take these terms. You need to know these terms if you're going into current workplaces, because it is vogue. It's going to be something that's going to come up, and some of it is very useful. So let's look at that. We're going to look at the waterfall method, so you'll be able to at least recognize it. We've done critical path method. We haven't done critical chain. That's a little bit different. Six Sigma, we'll cover, tweak that a bit. Agile and Kanban we'll cover today in a little bit, so you'll be familiar with the terms. And it's not hard. The concepts are pretty easy, and they're easily applied. So there's a lot of other stuff out there. You've got Crystal, you've got feature-driven development, rational, unified process, Pence too. So we've got that. We're not going to go through that. Six Sigma is 3.4. The thing to remember here, 3.4 errors per million is where you're trying to get that. So if you looked at your IQ, you're going to be pretty at the rarefied end of the chain. Doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. Just means you might be smart, but you may not have the skills of the lowliest manager. So you need to learn whatever you can about a new process and try to reduce your errors. All this, you've got DMIC, which is your define, measure, analyze, improve, control in Six Sigma. You're trying to figure out the process and then improve it. The Hawthorne effect is one that kind of, it's Hawthorne Manufacturing, and they were, a researcher was looking at ways to improve how lighting affected workers, but just the fact that you watched workers do the work, their work improved. It's like the placebo effect with new drugs. Somebody gets a sugar pill and thinks that it's a new cancer drug. There is an actual improvement, say 6 to 8% in, it's a measurable effect from a sugar pill. So it's a placebo effect. You get the same thing for a short time with the Hawthorne effect of observing workers. They tend to improve while you're watching them for a short time. Now, if you were to ask them for techniques, because typically improvements don't come from the bottom up, they are shoved down from above. Places that actually ask the workers tend to improve. So that's why consultants, you get the Hawthorne effect from being observing people, and then you ask the workers, what can you do? Because a lot of times the managers, the local managers, won't tell, they aren't told by their workers what's needed, or they ignore them. And it has to have somebody from outside your company come in. That's what a consultant does. So that's one thing you can count on. You can get about a 15% increase in performance simply by observing the workers, Hawthorne effect, and getting suggestions from the workers of how the techniques or the equipment they need to improve their function. You can get that improvement, and 15% is a lot in some companies. So that's why consultants are still around. So in Six Sigma, they have different levels. You've got green belt, brown belt, black belt, master black belt. It's a catchy thing. It's a way people go, oh, I can get a black belt certification in Six Sigma. Yay. It's a way to improve products. You need a buy-in from the hierarchy. You need a product champion from the administration to help you in Six Sigma if you're going to be successful. Six Sigma is looking for errors and reducing those by observing the process and improving the flow. That's what it is. And DMAIC and DMADV from here, this stuff, that's things to remember. 3.4 average errors per million operations or executions. All right, Agile, ta-da, ta-da, and sprints, and Scrum. What's a waterfall method? Waterfall is the old method of doing, you look at the requirements, look at the information architecture, look at the design development, and then you improve, and you go back, you have iterations of this, and it's just a way of doing things. Would you mark out all these? It's tedious. It's tedious. Tends to be, sprints are trying to do improvements in software, and you're going to see that. Kanban, the thing about Kanban, this was Toyota came up with this, and they took different tasks, and so you've got here's a backlog, these are new tasks. The key thing is this column, in progress tasks, and you limit the number of items in that column. Why is that? There you go. Because if one gets here and is 90%, this is 90% complete. If it gets stuck at 90%, you can't add other things to your task list. You need to finish up this so you can go on and move that into testing or completion. That's the key. This is the key, is the in progress, and that's Kanban. Post-it notes on a board, fine. You have a electronic Kanban board, yeah, of course. You know, let's sell those to people. And you have Agile. Agile Scrum, you'll see this diagram is pretty much standard in Agile Scrum. You would you'd have stories that you're going to have, and you just need to know what you want to do. I want to add a login screen. I want to be able to do this. That's a story. You're going to have product backlogs. I want to have these features I want to add, and I want to do them one at a time. The Agile Manifesto from 2001 had these different things in it. They had a bunch of points. Welcome changing requirements. Nobody ever thought of that before 2001. Projects built around motivated individuals. Wow. I wish before 2001 we had known that. Doing continuous attention to detail. Wow. Boy, that's really new. Anyway, so we've got these different points in the Agile Manifesto. It's a vogue. It's something, but it's useful. So they said, well, what are we going to do? We're going to do a scrum like in rugby, and we're going to do, we're going to and look at the product backlog list, and we're going to go through and do a user story. We want to add this feature of login from a remote location. Yay, that's the feature we're going to add to it. So user story, it's a kind of a narrative. I want to be able to do this. User story. Need to know what that is. You want a description. The planner enters a standard contract. I want to be able to do this. This is what I can do. That's how it's laid out in Agile software development. So a defect, I'll ask you what a defect is. It's a defect or a bug report. If you've ever used a beta program, which is what Microsoft calls their alpha program, they use the beta testing. They send stuff out, and then you go, I locked up my computer, it erased did a low format of my hard drive. Yeah, that's a defect. The Scrum Master, you need to know what that is. Here's a Scrum Master. What is the role? Keeper of the process. It's going to be, I'm going to keep my team. We're going to have team meetings, and they will do team meetings standing up. And there'll be 5 to 15 minutes. Why standing up? Well, we're not serving food. We're not giving coffee out. We're doing it standing up, so it'll be shorter. Otherwise, meetings tend to drag on. How many times you've been to a meeting, organizational meeting, and Susan speaks up, John speaks up, Frank speaks up, Abdul speaks up, Sherry speaks up, and everybody thinks, oh, I need to last forever, and you're thinking one of these numbers. Standing up meetings are shorter when you don't have food, and you say, here's what we're going to do. This is the problem we have. This is what we're doing to fix it. And you get the multi-process team. I need somebody that does Python programming for this. Can you get me something there? And you get together. Scrum Master helps things go along. The Scrum Master. What's to be completed? So you've got the product owner. That's the person that has the backlog of items you need to add in your project. They elaborate on the user stories. They work with the customer, all the stakeholders, work with the vision. Oh, here's where we're going with this, developing new products. So product owner, if you see the person that manages the backlog, that really handles everything, product owner. The teams, they're not just all programmers all the time. You might get a user interface design person. You might get a marketing person in that's going to work with you on things. And the key thing here to remember is a burn down chart. Now, burn down chart, here are the tasks. I've got 100% of the task right through here, okay? And this is how much time I think I'm going to be able to do it in 10 days. So I draw a slope, and each day that I have completed a portion of it, I will mark where I am that day, and you'll see if you're below the curve. Gosh, I did a lot today. Or you're behind the curve, you're not getting much done, I'm having trouble. And then you can take where you are and how many tasks, and if I need to shorten something out, let's say I've got 50%, and I'm right at day 5. I'm close to day 5. Well, I figure what could I do to finish it earlier? I would have to work longer hours, and that's your slope that you're going to have, and it's a way to figure out your slope and what needs to be done before you end. Burn down chart's very useful. Does that make sense?